I'm Seth, and this is Acquired Salary, the Best Living Through Career Mastery. In today's short talk, I'm going to discuss the results of a new study on the impact of return to office mandates, what the data actually means, and how to best proceed forward in light of the new information. Let's jump right into it and answer the question, okay, what is this study? And then further, I'm going to follow the formal process of reading scholarly articles. I'll dive into the results, the methods, and determine how much weight the study should have. This study is titled Return to Office Mandates, published from the University of Pittsburgh in the Social Science Research Network. So it's off to a great start. It's coming from a reputable institution and research network. Further, as I read the abstract, it has interesting findings. The abstract is showing managers use return to office mandates to assert control over employees. The findings do not support that managers are imposing return to office mandates because they think it helps firm value. And what many of us might have intuitively known or might think is the most important finding is that return to office mandates cause significant declines in employee job satisfaction. However, the mandates do not significantly change firm performance or company performance, specifically financial performance. So I do not bore you with an in-depth technical analysis. I'll summarize what I've dug through, the methods, analysis, and limitations. And overall, I would say they look sound. That said, if this is something that interests you, I do recommend reading the article and then performing your own analysis. I'm always happy to discuss, so if you want to, leave a comment in the comment section below. It is important that I specifically call out the limitations so we have a good understanding of the results. So the study is time-bound, and time plays a really important factor in the data. The data is limited to short-term outcomes. The long-term outcomes of return to office mandates and financial performance of companies has not been evaluated because the data doesn't exist. Further, the study focuses on S&P 500 companies, so these are going to be the largest companies in the world. So the specific outcomes found in this study may not be applicable to smaller companies. More research is needed to determine if it holds up on a broader scale. The study does have many confounding variables as it was conducted post-pandemic in a time of labor shortage, and the authors specifically mention this. That said, I tend to agree with the authors' opinions that return to office is more than likely still going to have a negative impact on employee satisfaction. But I think it's important to consider how employees are going to approach this, especially as the pendulum of the labor market swings back and forth all the time. In recent months, we've been seeing a lot of evidence to show that it's an employer's market, and this is evidenced with the labor market, job supply, demand, and how companies are being very selective with who they hire. So in the immediate term, I think employees are going to begrudgingly accept return to office, but they're not going to be happy about it long term. I think the final limitation that's worth calling out is the inability to rule out endogenous or internal explanations for the decrease in employee satisfaction. Some companies could be changing policies or approaches to things that have a result in decreased employee satisfaction. Now, before I go any further on what to do in light of this new information, if you're liking what you're hearing, please share this video with someone that might benefit from its message, because it's word-of-mouth referrals like this that help to grow Acquired Salary's reach, so we can continue to give you free information and tools to help you master your career. While it's all well and great to have data that can feed into our underlying assumptions on return to office and employee satisfaction, there is an aspect of confirmation bias here. But the question is, what can employees do about it? I cannot say in good conscience to go in guns blazing to your management touting this study saying this is a reason that I should be allowed to work remotely or be exempt from return to office mandates, especially considering the data indicate that management is using this as a way to reassert control over you as an employee. Further, some management has shown they use return to office as a solution to poor performance, and that's really scapegoating it on the employees. I think the best approach would be to act through free market principles that are at play. Just as customers are allowed to vote with the dollar in where they spend their money, you are allowed to vote with where you maintain your employment. The article even specifically mentions high-tech firms are more accepting of remote work because they inherently understood the findings of this research before it was published. The highly intelligent workers that are of high value and imperative to a business's success are not going to stand for it. They'll find another company that is going to be okay with them working remotely. So these companies, they're going to get punished, and I would even go as far to say if a company tries to compensate for this by paying 1.5 times or more the going rate for a position to secure highly intelligent employees, market forces are still going to punish them in the long run, because 1.5 times is not necessarily going to be enough, especially as companies are in competition with each other. Some of these companies, they're going to understand, okay, we're still going to have a high return on our investment of employing people, even if we're paying 1.5 times, if we can also include the fact that they can work remotely. So if you're a company that doesn't offer a high salary and you don't offer the benefit of allowing employees to work remotely, you're going to get punished by having a higher churn on employees, and hiring is very expensive. I'm going to specifically talk to managers and employers because I previously worked for one of these Fortune 500 companies that's considered high-tech, and they still implemented a return-to-office mandate, and it was very obvious it did have a negative impact on employee satisfaction. Obviously, my position, at first glance, comes off as pro-employee, but really it's the application of Hegelian dialect that comes to a position that is pro-employee and pro-employer. It's not an outrageous claim to say supporting remote work is beneficial to employees and the employer, because I've dug into the stats on employment and the cost of hiring. To the managers that are and employers that are well versed in the data and the numbers around how much it costs, they're going to know this, but the cost of hiring is outrageously high. So for those that are highly intelligent A players, they're going to be considered mid-level or senior level employees and highly skilled. On average, it costs between 100 and 400% of their annual salary to replace the employee. So from that standpoint, what sounds better? If I'm an employer, would I rather pay an employee well and maintain policies that encourage their retention without affecting my bottom line, or implement policies that don't affect the bottom line, increase employee dissatisfaction, as well as increase the chances that they're going to leave, leaving me stuck with having to pay way more than I would like to in order to hire a replacement? In addition to that, you risk falling behind the competition while you scramble to replace that employee. I think rational thinking makes it pretty clear which position is better, but the age-old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. In this case, the market is going to dehydrate that horse until they're left between the choice of dying of thirst or drinking the water that's been in front of them the entire time. So, what do you think? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you've made it this far into the video, I encourage that you like the episode and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on future videos to help you master your career.